Today, we're going to be talking about creating the perfect new flower bed or border for your garden. I'm going to be teaching you how I play around with things like height, different planting conditions, color combinations, and more. So if you're creating a new flower bed from scratch or you're reworking an old one, hopefully you will find this advice useful. Now, the main examples I'm going to use today are going to be in what I call the big flower bed, which is right here at the back of my garden. And this flower bed is very deep. I would say it's probably maybe like, I don't know, maybe 10 foot deep. That's sort of maybe a bit generous, but yeah, it's a pretty big flower bed. It's kind of done in the prairie planting style, which means lots of sort of tall grasses and plants that like dry conditions and such. But it's also in the cottage garden style, since of course my garden is a cottage garden. So it's a bit of a mixture, but I'm going to be using this flower bed as an example for how I design flower beds and some of my best tips. Now, what I want to start off with here in this video is height. I know a lot of people really struggle with deciding height in their flower beds and how to plant things so you don't have, for example, really tall ones at the front covering up some of the shorter ones at the back. Now, let's use an example here of a plant. This is Verbena bonariensis, which is a very tall, airy, purpley sort of plant. It gets to about 6 foot. It's one of the tallest plants in my garden in terms of perennials or, anything like that. And basically, the simplest advice I can give when creating a new border or flower bed is have all of your tall plants at the back. Now, this isn't necessarily a strict rule, but it is the easiest one to follow. What you want to do is effectively cascade the height of plants down. So we're going to start with the tallest ones at the back layer. We're going to work our way down to the sort of medium height, and then right at the front, we will have the shortest ones. Now, of course, this flower bed can be seen from multiple angles. There's the pathway over there near the patio. There's this pathway near my archway. And then there's the little grassy bit that I'm standing on here. So it's important to remember that, you're going to be seeing this flower bed from so many different angles. So what I like to do is keep the same rule, but just sort of go around in a circle when I'm designing a flower bed like that. So I've still got the lower ones here, and they'll kind of weave their way all around the edges. And then in the middle, we'll have the medium-sized plants. And then right at the very back there, the tallest ones. Now, as you might see from this flower bed, that isn't necessarily a strict rule you have to follow. For example, I've got these really tall Achillea, yarrow, sort of over there in the middle. That's not really the back. And the reason why I like to do that is I just think it makes the flower bed a bit more interesting. They're not exactly at the front of the border, so they're not covering everything up. But when you head over to the other side, you'll get a sort of different view, and you have to come over here to be able to see some of these plants behind. So effectively, you're creating a sort of more interesting structure by doing that. So the rules aren't necessarily strict. That's just a guideline you can follow about cascading the heights down. And if you're not sure, check the labels of your plants when you buy them. They should mention exactly what the heights are, and try and follow that as a basis for when you're planting things out. I also think playing around with color and color combinations is a really good idea. For example, I've got this really bright yellow Achillea here, and it's mixed with lots of sort of purples. I've also got lots of blues coming up in the form of these echinops. So I try and think about colors that contrast really nicely. I feel like the yarrow stands out really well, which just makes for a more interesting flower bed, in my opinion. You can really notice this. In fact, it's one of the first things you'll notice. But then as it attracts your attention and you look around more, you start to see lots of other things. So that's why I think that's a good idea. Try and think about colors that you think look nice together. I, for example, really like the combinations of yellow and blue, also yellow and purple. But there are so many different other ways you can slice this. For example, if I move over here, this is more of a sort of white area, and I mix in lots of white to this flower bed as well because it's a nice neutral color that doesn't really clash with too much. For example, I've got this salvia over here which is white. So I try and think about all kinds of different combinations for different parts of a flower bed. It doesn't have to be a strict theme. You could go like this one over here and just go crazy and go for all the colors. So it depends on what sort of style you're going for in the garden. If you're going for a cottage garden style, like I've got throughout the garden, then the rules are whatever you want, really. You don't have to follow any color combinations. But I do think, you know, for example, let's say I had a massive red perennial in this border, like a proper bright red, then it wouldn't really work. It would stand out maybe in not such a good way. It really depends on your tastes. But like I said, I try and think about colors that do go well together. They don't all have to match up though. For example, you don't have to do a border that is all purple or all pink, but you could if you wanted to. It's really up to you. The main thing is deciding on colors that you think work well together. Another thing I always do in my flower beds and borders is have lots of grasses. We've got two right here, but if I move over to this front border, there are some more mature ones. And you can see these grasses going up nice and tall amongst all the other perennials. They're really at the very top of the border. I absolutely love the way they blow around in the wind. It adds some nice interest to your garden, which is a word you might have heard before. Interest, of course, just means adding lots of interesting things that throughout the year will give your borders and flower beds a new dimension. So grasses are great for that because they're very textural, you know? They've got a sort of different texture to them than, say, your standard perennials and annual flowers do. So that's definitely an important part. I think you want lots of different types of things. It's the same principle with foliages. Grasses are, of course, foliages, but having different kinds of foliages works really well. Like I've got this Perovskia silver spire, blue spire I should say, which has a silvery sort of foliage, so it stands out really nicely compared to all the lime green around this border. Same with this Salvia caradonna. It has the dark black stems, which again makes it stand out because it's so unique. Most things are just green or lime green. And you can apply that here to the Festuca Elijah blue, which is a grass. And of course it is blue. It's not traditional grass like the lawn over here. It's more interesting. So adding elements like that really help your garden, I feel. They just make the flower beds and borders a lot more interesting. I do also want to go back to the element that your flower beds might be seen from multiple angles. So definitely, you know, have a think about that and the sort of heights you use. For example, this one's right at the very front of my house. So I try and think, what are you going to see when you stand here? And that's what you see. You see the lower one there. I have a slightly taller one there. And then I have some taller ones in the middle. And if I go around to the other side, you'll see hidden, there's actually lots of smaller ones. So you're getting a different thing depending on where you're going. This might not apply to all flower beds or borders. For example, a lot of people have borders that just back off onto something like maybe a fence or a wall. So in that case, it's a lot more linear and you can just think about cascading things, like having the tallest at the back and then the shortest at the front. But if you have got a border that can be seen from multiple angles, like pretty much all of the ones in my sort of perennial garden area, you can really play around with heights and have some things in the middle, have some things on the edges, and just make it an interesting viewing experience for whoever is coming into your garden. If you have a really big flower bed like this one, I also recommend having things like shrubs and maybe even trees. I've got this hydrangea Annabelle, which is pretty young at the moment, so it's fairly short, but eventually this will get a decent amount taller and it'll really become a star in the border and give us a bit more interest all year round. Obviously, herbaceous perennials die back to the ground, annuals just die off in that year. So it's good to have things in your flower beds and borders that will keep interest and structure all year. These trees, which were already here when I moved in, which kind of look a little bit ugly, I'm not gonna lie. I need to prune them and make them a bit nicer. They actually are evergreen. So if you don't know, evergreens are types of plants that will stay green all year round. So having them in your flower beds and borders is also really important, so that when you're in winter, this doesn't just look like dirt. You've actually got some really interesting things. You can mix around shrubs like hydrangea, you can have trees, you can have things like this, which is my lilac, my beautiful lilac. Just mix it, you know, have a mixture of things. You don't just have to have perennials, you don't just have to have trees and shrubs. Have a nice mixture. This border is mostly herbaceous perennials, but still I know that when I get to winter I will at least have some things that keep the interest and also give us interest for times like spring and autumn. For example, this big flagpole cherry tree, the Prunus Amanogawa, will give us interest with its beautiful orange autumn leaves and cherry blossoms in the spring. So there's something to look forward to all year round. Speaking of year-round interest, try and make sure you mix in perennial plants and shrubs and such, which will flower at different times of the year. Hidden in here, I actually have a Dicentra, which you can't see at all right now as it's been sort of hidden away by the growth of summer plants, but it gives us beautiful white flowers in spring. The same with this tree here, my actual Morello cherry tree. It'll give us cherry blossoms in spring. And there are plenty of plants here which go nice and orange in autumn, like the grasses. Then, of course, you have all the summer ones. So try and think about when things flower and how they're going to look at different parts of the year, just so that, for example, you don't get to spring and this border is all still just green growth and nothing else. Try and think about the fact that, you need to have some spring perennials and flowers and shrubs in there too, and the same with autumn. And you can even think about winter interest as well, even though there aren't as much for that. You can do things like perennial plants that will just keep over winter, like tall grasses. They may be dead, but they'll still look nice and hold structure. So there's lots of different ideas you can use to keep a flower bed and border interesting all year. So I hope you found these little tips and tricks useful. If you have any more ideas or comments, please let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to hear. Make sure to subscribe as I'm trying to hit 3,000 subscribers, and I'll catch you in the next video.